Last night I had a dream about my ex-husband. Sometimes my dreams are really traumatic, and sometimes it's just traumatic because of the fact that I had loved him so immensely that it's just traumatic in the sense like it's not there anymore. Like waking up and those feelings in that person is no longer there. It's taken me a lot to recognize within the last 5 years of having lost my child and having lost him in the process as well, that it was so scarring that I still have, I mean, I wouldn't consider them nightmares, but they are kind of like nightmares, in that way, because I still end up scarred by the morning. Even though during the dreams we're making love, or we're so deeply entwined with one another that I had in my dream we were making love, and at some point we had separated from one another and he came back and we were like playful in that sense, and then I ended up like curling up and I was crying in the dream. Like I remember it so vividly this morning, but I only recorded it now after the day just so that I could process my thoughts on it, or I didn't even know if I wanted to share all of this. Honestly, I just most of the time I'm like, oh, I better keep it to myself. But when I have strong emotions in my dreams, I don't really remember my dreams all that often unless they're really strong for me, in that sense of having some reasoning behind it, why I'm suffering these emotions. It's my subconscious telling me something. So I was making love with them, and we went and separated, and I was crying and huddled up in like the fetal position, and he came to try to console me, as he usually did when I was going through my emotional bouts, which I enjoyed about him and our relationship, because I felt like in those moments when I was weakest, he tried, in some format, but really he didn't. Really, I mean, after all said and done, he remarried someone else. He married someone else, so he remarried, and after promising me, he just didn't believe in the constructs of marriage. I just don't know if I could trust anyone that could lie and manipulate me to that extreme. And that's why these emotions is so relevant. These dreams are so intoxicating for me. And he was consoling me in the dream. And I told him something about, like, I don't know if it was either not being able to be together or something. It was more of an emotion. It wasn't even like a said word. And then he had told me verbally, he said something, but you're still married. And that's when I just like shot out of the dream. Like, I don't remember much out of that, the rest of that, aside from like we were still talking and sort of kissing each other, and like it was really weird because I still have emotions toward him, and of course I still have like loving emotions toward the people who've abused me, and that's normal for someone who's suffered as immensely during childhood as I did. So I just never wanted to like get anybody in trouble for anything until I started like recognizing that was hurting me. Keeping all this confined within myself was actually causing me damage physically. And people were saying like, Leticia, let it go. Yes, now I'm finally letting it go, because I'm letting the universe realize and understand where I'm coming from. For me, it's like my semblance of the universe's interaction with the humankind, you know what I'm saying? Everything, like divulging all this information through visual, whatever, like my videos and things like that. Sorry, I went hiking today for quite some time with someone, and we were collecting rocks. And then I also spent the evening with a nice woman I had met from the YMCA who had invited me out to her house, and we had a nice evening. So I'm just sort of in between doing my routine for the evening, and decided I would just convey some of my thoughts on these dreams. And I know that everybody's like, oh, you should have a dream journal. And some of the prophetic dreams that I had as a child kind of freaked people out when I dreamt about people dying. So I never really wanted to keep track of my dreams. It wasn't like that. But now I'm just sort of like, I have to release this because I can't hold on to these emotions anymore. I can't hold on to anybody that doesn't love me. And I can't hold on to anybody that doesn't truly want to be there for me in my weakest moments. And I realized that a lot of that, you know, all of my issues stem directly from the people that promised me these things, but were never able to fulfill them because they were hurt, because I gave them too much of, you know, I don't know, too much truth. This people hate me because I am too truthful. And I tell them, hey, that's gross, or hey, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you're damaging yourself. Oh, you know, hey, better watch that. Oh, safety first. Like, people hate me like all the time, just always something. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm not gonna stop doing that. It's part of my personality to call people out on their bullshit. So, like, but I woke up so happy, because even that falsity of feeling love again and that passion, and like looking deep in the eyes of, you know, the person that I had thought I loved for so long. It was 5.5 years, and then extended beyond that point because I was on psych meds, and it forced me to have to relive these emotions daily and whatever. They said that it was supposed to help me, those antipsychotics and whatever, and antidepressants, and all they did was make things worse. And I gained weight, I lost myself, instead I just wanted to do things through natural means to see if it would work for a while. So I just wanted to share this dream that I had, because I was like I was happy, and like all of that got ripped away from me because I was abused and I was assaulted, and nobody wanted to back me up, and nobody could deal with my bouts of insecurities and my suicide attempts and whatever, and I was so stressed and whatever. I'll miss him. I will. I finally had that where I'm like, okay, you've got to release that emotion. You've got to release everything about him, because he doesn't love you. He never loved you. And if he would have actually loved you, he would have stayed by your side and helped you hand in hand, side by side. And now I have other people trying to pick up the pieces that he left behind. And sometimes I'm like, give me that piece back. I want all of me at all times, because I cannot deal with other people's realities a majority of the time. Like, everybody's like, you're always like, Leticia's way or the highway. And I'm like, well, let's just do the research on this. What's more beneficial for everyone involved? So, anyway, I really wish I could find somebody to make love to, especially as passionately as I used to. That would be so nice. I cannot, I mean, I can wait, obviously, because I've been waiting for quite some time. But I'm so excited for when I get to be with someone again in that way, intimately. And I don't know if I'll ever get to that chance or get to that point. And it was funny because when I was over at the lady's house, we were at a party, and it was a same-sex couple. And I made a joke with them, and I said, you know, I'm one step away from just buffing up and looking for a lady friend, because I just cannot deal with this sense of, like loneliness, this loneliness that I have, this lack of companionship that I'm seeking, and this void from being a childless mother. So anyway, it is October 23rd, 2021. That's the dream I had last night, and I just wanted to share it. And I was actually extremely happy when I got to feel that emotion again. But then it all fell, like it's trauma afterward, like it was a nightmare, because the reality is just there. He didn't care. So I take those little bits and pieces though, and I'm like, oh, love myself. I still love myself. I love the fact that I had that interaction. It doesn't matter. He's still part of my past, and I still respect him in the sense that he is the father of my child. And I always gave him the respect above anyone else. And now he's realizing, like, oh shit, like, no, there's just nothing left. You disrespected me by remarrying and letting someone else raise my child. And then you're going to disrespect me continually until that child comes back to me. And you disrespect me by leaving loaded guns and all these things. What kind of apology could you offer someone like that, aside from, you need to make your own peace with the Lord above, in the universe in general, because you used your money in nefarious ways, and it just wasn't, or whatever the nefarious acts that transpired, conspiring against me behind my back, and realizing that you could just kill me off. But I was like, whose novel is this, actually? So I lost 155 pounds so I could help prove a few points. So I could help show people how to appropriate themselves, even in the hardest of times, and not going down the route of abusing yourself through drugs or alcohol, because I stem from alcoholics, or chain smoking cigarettes, or all of these other things that I just avoid, because I want to be healthy for my child when she comes back to me. And I want to be there to help her rationalize the world around her and what has happened and why we were separated from one another. Because she, I'm sure, will never understand how much I have fought to just be by her side, by keeping my mouth shut, by being a submissive housewife, and not even realizing that I had done so, because I was manipulated by a narcissist who was very good at his, very good at wording himself. For a Southern person, I give him props. His nickname, I gave him the nickname Brains, because he knew that I was just so infatuated with him, even from the beginning to the very end. And he thought it was just some crazy infatuation, this crazy stalker girl. Excuse me, what? You met me at Petco. Then I told you about my secondary job, and you showed up at my job, and then you stood at the corner and watched me work for a while. And then I realized who the true stalker is and was in this entire circumstance. Because, yeah, I didn't realize I was that pretty when we met. Yeah, I didn't realize that I had so much going for me when we met, working 2 jobs and going to school, college full time. And then you wanted to mooch off of that and use off of that. We ended up getting accidentally pregnant. We were supposed to work together to work towards something. And you said, no thanks, I'm out. Let me go find me another hoe and just manage that way. And like, that's sad. That's really dysfunctional. That's super dysfunctional, and you don't even realize how dysfunctional that is for our child. Because if we couldn't have fixed what was there, that gives her no proof that forgiveness can be had, or that there's any kind of acceptance in the world, and that it's okay to ostracize and persecute people based on their mental health. Mental awareness, excuse me, I'm not that violent, just so you know. And my mental health is actually much better, much more reliable than most people. Because, as a character witness to that, all the people that have seen me at the YMCA for the last little over a year, seeing me progress, seeing me how determined I was, seeing me work physically, seeing me, interact with others in a social environment, and seeing how beneficial it was to those people, that I sparked a light in them, or encouraged them, or inspired them in some way. So I'm just waiting for court on Monday, and recognizing too that I'm so very just frustrated at all of this and frustrated at my reality. Like, I don't end up with the happy ending, and that's okay. Like, I get that. That's okay with me. I don't mind. And just as long as other people rationalize where I'm coming from, you have to. There's no other way. There was no therapy between these people that are involved that I discuss. Yet there was therapy with me, and I've discussed all of these prior issues. I've seen it from their perspective. I see where they're coming from, their selfishness, and I relay that entirely to everyone else. I give everyone the facts as best I can from a third-party perspective. And most people don't want to see that or rationalize that. They think that I'm trying to be manipulative by getting it over on my way. And I'm like, wait a minute, if it just favors me, then why are you arguing? Like, oh, okay, because you're in the wrong. I see. Nobody likes to be contradicted. Nobody likes to be confronted with their flaws or faults. I sure as hell didn't. And that's why I lost 155 pounds. And that's why I ended up doing all of these things and progressing in such a way and learning all these things on my own, swimming and tennis and all these other encounters and interactions, playing Sudoku when I have nothing else better to do. Just all these things to help better my mind and the functionality of my overall health. Well, anyway, I better get going. I'm expected somewhere. But have a wonderful evening, and October 23rd, 2021, that was actually my scheduled due date for Tara. That's when they scheduled the due date for her. October 23rd, 2012. That's when she was due, but she came early. So anyway, but yeah, have a wonderful day, evening, and whatever, week. Life is rough, but you just have to push through it and see if there's anything better at the end. I mean, sometimes I just want to stop. Exactly. Good night.